sometimes you have to move on, as you know, and I've kind of prepared myself for this one, especially mentally, where I've been able to go out and relax better this spring than in the past, and I think it's going to be good for me.
TSN presents Labatt's Blue Jays Baseball from Tinker Field in Orlando. It's the Minnesota Twins and the Toronto Blue Jays. Brought to you by Petro-Canada Dealers and Agents. Our energy is Canada. And by General Motors of Canada Limited. Well, change is always one constant factor in baseball. And nowhere was it more evident than this week, with Willie Upshaw, the Toronto Blue Jays, being sold to the Cleveland Indians. It's the end of an era for Willie Upshaw and the Toronto Blue Jays, and what a classy performer he has been. Buck Martinez had a chance to speak with Willie yesterday.
I really, would just like to say, thank you to the people of Toronto. They've been great fans to me. They never got down on me when I wasn't doing so well, and I just really appreciate that.
I think there'll be an awful lot of fans rooting for Willie Upshaw in that Cleveland Indian uniform.
Well, I sure hope so. I made a lot of good friends up there, and it's not going to be easy breaking ties.
Well, Buck Martinez, he was a classy individual, and of course he still is, but we all, I think, had a tear or two in our eyes to see Willie go.
Well, Fergie, it was a tough job for me to do the interview because Willie was such a great friend, but he's a true professional. He handled it with class, the way we expected of Willie Upshaw, and he looks forward to an opportunity to play every day. That's all he wanted, to get back on the field and play every day. When you have two youngsters like Fred McGriff and Cecil Fielder, you've got to give them a chance to play sooner or later.
And they're good ones, and of course, will Jimmy Williams platoon these two, or will he go with Fred McGriff against left-handers as well?
I think he might platoon early, but I think he wants to get Fred McGriff in there every day. You've got the potential of 40 home runs from that young man, and the only way you're going to find out whether or not he can hit left-handers is to put him in the ball game against them.
We're going to see one of the great young pitching prospects in all of baseball today, Todd Stottlemyre, going to the mound for Toronto.
Stottlemyre is a classic pitcher. Great stuff, very poised for a young man. He's very close to being in the big leagues.
It looks like the Minnesota Twins are fielding an opening day lineup here, so it should be a good one. Bell, Mosby, and Barfield aren't here today, but you'll have a chance to watch some promising young rookies for the Toronto Blue Jays. So stay with us from Tinker Field in Orlando, Florida.
Here at Tinker Field in Orlando, we're talking with Fred McGriff. And Fred, since Willie Upshaw has moved on, it looks like you're getting a chance to play an awful lot of first base.
Well, Buck, all my life I just wanted a chance, and the Blue Jays are giving me a chance now. Now I got to take advantage of it.
It's been a friendly competition all spring long. Willie's helped both you and Cecil out an awful lot.
Willie's a great guy, and we all played together last year, so there's no hard feelings or nothing.
It's time to change era, and it's Fred McGriff's turn, and you got a great start last year with 20 home runs. Do you expect to play an awful lot? Has Jimmy talked to you about your role at first base?
He haven't really talked to me about it, but last year I got around 290 at-bats, and I possibly could have had at least 400. If I would have played every day from the start against right-handed pitching, I probably would have got about 400 at-bats. So if I play every day this year, every day right from the start against right-handers, I'm sure I get at least 400.
What a gorgeous day at Tinker Field here in Orlando. 80 degrees. Of course, we're just down the road from Disney World. 5,600 fans here this afternoon. This park completely sold out. And the Minnesota Twins have fielded a pretty impressive lineup. The big Steve Carlton will be their starting pitcher today. Durwood Merrill will be behind the plate. Gary Cederstrom over at third, and Rocky Rowe at first. Lefty is on the mound at 43 years of age. He's had a pretty decent spring. He still keeps going, doesn't he?
Well, he's had to make the adjustment, realize he can't throw hard any longer, and he's been working with a changeup, and it's become a pretty effective pitch for him. For so long, he could go fastball, slider, tell the hitter what's coming, and they couldn't touch him. But he's made an adjustment. This is the Blue Jays lineup today. Manny Lee still bothered with that shoulder problem. He'll lead off, be the DH. Then it's Beniquez, McGriffin, fielder. Ernie Witt's behind the plate. Gruber at second base because Lee can't play there. Rick Leach and Rob Ducey in center field, and then Jimmy Kelly, the youngster, at shortstop.
You'll notice Cecil Fielder playing third base today. He's done it a few times here in spring training.
Well, Jimmy Williams knows that the exposure, giving Fielder the opportunity to play third base, might come in an emergency situation, but basically it's simply the fact that Liriano's been bothered with the back. Manny Lee has a shoulder right now, so Gruber's got to slide over and play second, and Cecil Fields in at third base.
Cecil did manage to get into a couple of ball games last season at third base, late in the game. As far as the defense concerned, Gladden, Puckett, and Berdansky, the regular outfield. Gaetti, Gagne, Lombardozzi, Herbeck. That's what you're looking at, a World Series lineup right there. Kenny Laudner doing the catching.
No question, World Championship club right there.
It's interesting, the Blue Jays were 9-3 against the Minnesota Twins last year. In fact, the only team in baseball that they have had a winning record against the last 6 years. Manny Lee squares to bunt and takes the ball outside.
Manny Lee's had a pretty good spring at the plate, but he's been bothered by that shoulder problem. You'll recall early in the spring he was a little bit late reporting. That might have set him back a little bit as far as his getting ready for the season. Squares to bunt. Takes one in there.
And there has been so much talk about Manny Lee being traded. Talking to Jimmy Williams before the game, he said he will announce some more cuts Wednesday. The Blue Jays just have 2 more home games at Dunedin left. Wednesday against Detroit. We'll be televising that game, and Thursday against Pittsburgh. And this weekend they head up to Denver to play the same Minnesota Twins couple of games, and then they'll open up the series or the season in Kansas City on the 4th. It's a full count to Manny Lee. The big boys have been left at home, Bell, Barfield, and Mosby. High fly ball down the left field line, then we'll go into foul territory. You look at Steve Carlton, 6 times he has been a 20-game winner, 329 career victories. It's his record last year. Talking to Tom Kelly, and he said how hard this guy works, although he doesn't like doing his sprints.
He's always hated running, and he's substituted that with martial arts over there in Philadelphia. He got started with that. You can see what great shape he's in. He's 43 years old.
Line deep to center field. Puckett going back. Oh, he drops the ball. Manny Lee will head into third base. Manny Lee really put the wood to that one, didn't he?
Kirby Puckett didn't get back on the ball. Manny Lee hit it right on the nose, but Puckett kept drifting with it all along and never caught up to it. Finally hit right in his glove, but he didn't have a very good angle on it at that point.
Very seldom will you see Kirby Puckett do that. He is, I think, without question, the best center fielder in the American League.
Lee really gets a hold of it. Carlton had to come in there with a full count, and Puckett just drifts back. He doesn't go back with authority. He doesn't get back to the track, and you can see he's really not comfortable all along. The ball hits right in his glove, and he can't hang on to it.
I said to him before the game, what'd you do with your World Series money? So I just locked it up, man. Tom Kelly, the Minnesota Twins manager, told me that he put it away for his kids. So down the road, they'll have a nice chunk of money waiting for them. There he is, the youngest manager in baseball. Juan Beniquez hits that one to Puckett in center field. Manny Lee tags. There he comes. Then he goes back to third. The throw right on the money.
Well, Puckett got in great position for that ball. It wasn't deep, but he charged the ball well, made a good throw, came right in home, and Manny Lee had to hang on. You see Beniquez gets his slider and lifts it into center field. Puckett's an outstanding outfielder. 2 consecutive Gold Gloves. You can see his positioning is perfect. Just drifting, timing the ball. Gets rid of it. Strong throw. Right on the money to Tim Loudner at the plate.
That is hit deep to right and out of here. Freddie McGriff tattooed that one. Wow. McGriff has hit some big shots here before, hasn't he?
The outfielders didn't even move. Carlton's first pitch, McGriff hits it on the nose, and Bernansky in right, Puckett in center, just stood there and watched as it hit off the superstructure of the stadium out over the right center field fence, and McGriff obviously comfortable with his lead role as leadoff power man. Watch this swing. Great extension.
Off a left-hander.
Slider. Went down and got it.
You know what I found interesting, Buck? Last year he had 5 home runs in spring training off left-handers, and then, of course, was platooned during the season. Cecil Fielder, the other half of that first base combination. Cecil leads the club in home runs. Spring training with 4. Well, McGriff just tied him with that shot. He's jammed, but he manages to get a base hit on into right field. So it's been a rough inning for Steve Carlton.
Fielder just caught that ball. This is an important outing for Carlton. He's basically battling with Joe Niekro to make the club. Carlton, of course, comes inside with that fastball, and Herbeck, gallant effort, just out of his reach. But Carlton is really trying to stay alive with this ball club. Niekro has a guaranteed contract for somewhere in the range of $800,000. Carlton, of course, is just signed as a free agent. Nice play by Loudner to keep that ball in front of him. So Carlton's basically on the bubble here. He's got to come up with a couple good outings before spring training's over.
Ernie hitting .241 in spring training. Ernie just goes about doing his job down here, doesn't he?
Always gets ready in spring training, never panics with his average or RBI production in spring training. He knows that he's just trying to get in shape. He's in great shape. He's catching very well. He's already caught 9 innings a couple times.
Catching 9 innings on a day like today is not fun, is it?
It's good for your weight. Get you right in shape right before you leave Florida. You know, you're not going to be sweating too many days in Toronto until June, July.
Finds that one over the stands foul.
Maybe Jimmy Williams is trying to get Cecil in shape, too. He put the hit and run on with Witt at the plate. Cecil was off and running. There's a look at the skipper. He's about ready to go north.
He's pretty relaxed now, isn't he?
Yeah.
Seems like there's a little pressure off.
You think?
At least for the time being.
Everything's a little bit calmer these days.
Yeah. He's jammed, but he hits that up the middle for a base hit.
Cecil gave it a big fake like he was going to go to third base, but he checked into second. Puckett, of course, with a good arm, and Carlton is having a rough inning here. His breaking ball was up to Witt. Hits it off the handle, but it's just enough to get through there.
Well, when things are going bad, those base hits sure seem to find the holes, don't they?
Well, Fielder had a bleeder through there. Ernie Witt just gets one back up the middle. But it's still a base hit. Carlton's given up 2 runs and 4 hits here, and there's only one retired one.
Gruber hitting .240 spring training. Takes that pitch low. Does this young man make the ball club?
You betcha. He's on my team. Whether or not they're going to play him every day, I think, is yet to be determined. Manny Lee being out with a shoulder problem has put some thoughts of him moving to third on hold temporarily.
Line, oh, past the shortstop, Gagne. Bases are loaded. Fielder had to wait to make sure that line drive went through the infield.
That was no bleeder.
No, it sure wasn't.
That one was hit right on the nose. Gruber takes a good cut at this one. Gets the head out, stays right down on it. See, Fielder had to hold up until he got by shortstop Gagne. They could only advance 90 feet on that smash to left field, but Dick Such, the pitching coach, is out there now discussing things with lefty and catcher Tim Laudner. He's a little bit up with his stuff. Before the game, they talked about how well he was throwing. To me, he's not throwing that well. All his breaking pitches have been up, and I don't see an awful lot of velocity there. You know, it's really a shame to see a guy like Steve Carlton going through an inning like this. He's 43 years old. Automatic Hall of Fame inductee in my mind.
Without question. Rick Leach, the right fielder, steps in. We're talking about the most dominant left-hander in the game in the past 20 years. And you're looking at him right there.
4-time Cy Young winner, 6-time 20 games. You can see that pitch right there was up in the strike zone too. It's okay to pitch up in the strike zone when you're young and throwing 92, 94, 5 miles an hour, but Carlton doesn't have that velocity any longer. He's got to have his pitches down.
Rick Leach has been an excellent role player for this Blue Jay team. The bases are loaded, 1 down. The Jays are leading 2-0 here in the first inning. Fastball for a strike, catches the corner. The Blue Jays with 5 hits in this first inning. Hey, we haven't even heard any rumors the last couple of days. Been pretty quiet here.
Generally, that's when things happen. You go around camps and you hear rumors, this trade and that trade, and this guy's going this place, and when things calm down, that's generally when the trades take place.
Pat Gillick is here, and so are some of the Blue Jay scouts. Gord Lakey and Dennis Yoakum, Al Lamacchia. Did you see any more down there?
Oh, they're here. They're all out. This time of the year, they're trying to look at their own team, make an assessment of their own talent, plus look at the other clubs, see what's available, who might make the team. There's Winston Yanis talking to Jimmy Williams. Pretty good pitch right there.
So Leach draws a walk with the bases loaded. And that'll bring up the center fielder, Rob Ducey. Makes it tough on the scorecard the first inning, doesn't it?
Filling up a lot of spots. Rob Ducey, another left-hander to face Carlton, and that's something you have to consider. All of this trouble for Carlton has come with left-handed batters. McGriff hit a homer, and Witt got a base hit. Leach walked. Ducey, of course, in that battle for that center field job. Pretty weak swing at a fastball on the outside part of the plate. Ducey just didn't go after that pitch.
Now Camposano hitting .244 with a couple of home runs, 5 RBIs, and Ducey hitting .260. No home runs and 1 RBI if you're looking at numbers here in spring training. Right now, you'd have to say Camposano's in the driver's seat.
I think so. He's shown a little more pop. In Ducey's defense, what he's going to have to do is try to show that he could possibly be the type guy who could bat high in the order. He's got enough speed. He's a singles hitter, basically a little alley power, but he's got to get on base. Takes a close pitch there. But his role, in my mind, would be that of a maybe a leadoff hitter, number 2 hitter that would get on base, move the runners around, steal some bases.
Slap to Herbeck, off his glove. And everybody's safe. And Ernie Witt scores. It is 4-0.
You can see Herbeck kicking the dirt in disgust. He felt he should have had that ball, but it was hit pretty hard right down to him. He's a good fielder, but he couldn't come up with that one. Once again, the left-handers are giving Carlton problems. This doesn't get that ball away from Ducey, and he hits it hard right down to Herbeck. Good shot right there. Didn't get the glove all the way down. It went off his glove. Lombardozzi made the play, but not in time to get Ducey at first.
Jimmy Kelly, the 17-year-old shortstop, steps in. He's got a big future in this organization. Happy-go-lucky kid, just 17.
We were both happy at 17, too.
Didn't know any better.
Good play by Laudner. Got that changeup in front of him. Laudner, they're looking for a little bit better average this year. He hit 191 last year. They're still having some problems behind the plate. Jimmy Kelly certainly brings to mind memories of Alfredo Griffin.
Boy, does he ever. So Carlton ahead, a ball and 2 strikes. Kelly played in Dunedin last year, hit .218. He slaps that one foul. Another player signed by Epi Guerrero. I haven't checked. He's got quite a few in the roster, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. He does a good job making sure those Blue Jays don't miss anybody, and Carlton gets Kelly on strikes. That's only the second out here, as the Blue Jays are going to send up 10 hitters to the plate. Fastball outside part of the plate. Kelly just can't connect. So Carlton's faced them all in the first inning. Manny Lee will come up for the second time.
And you remember the ball that Lee hit, straightaway center, that Puckett should have caught. The scorekeeper gave him a triple. 4 runs and 5 hits for the Blue Jays this first inning.
There's that changeup. Carlton got it down and away from Manny Lee. It's a pitch he's worked on, and it's been an adjustment for him. Let me tell you, when you go out there for 22 years and have that good fastball and a good slider, trying to cut back and come up with a changeup at 43 is a tough adjustment.
High fly ball to center field. Puckett should have no problem with this one. So Carlton finally gets out of the inning, but not before the Blue Jays score 4 on 5 base hits. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Well, there he is, 22-year-old Todd Stottlemyre. And this is the lineup that he'll be facing. Dan Gladden in left, Gagne the shortstop, Kirby Puckett in center, Herbeck the first baseman, Gaetti at third, Lowry the DH. As Gene Larkin was scheduled to play, but he played in a B game this morning, twisted his ankle in a play at first base. We don't know how long he'll be out of action. Tom Bernansky in right field, Lombardozzi the second baseman, and Timmy Laudner doing the catching. As far as the defense is concerned, well, you've got Beniquez, Ducey, and Leach in the outfield. Fielder, Kelly, Gruber, McGriff, and Ernie Witt doing the catching. This young man, Todd Stottlemyre, an above-average fastball, good curve. The question is, can he make this pitching staff this year, Buck?
He'll be here before it's over. That's what I think. I don't know if he's going to break with them. Naturally, people think that you can get by with only 4 starters early in the season. The Jays, of course, have 4 quality starters. Stottlemyre is going to make this pitching staff before the summer's out, in my estimation. He's got a great fastball, great curveball, pretty good slider. He's working on a changeup. Great composure for a young pitcher.
That changeup really is the pitch that he really needs to be consistent with. to make his fastball more effective.
For him to get over the hump and be a polished pitcher, there's no doubt about the fact that he has to come up with an off-speed pitch. His curveball's hard, his slider's hard to go along with that good fastball.
Dan Gladden fouls one back. He led the Twins in stolen bases last year. Pretty good acquisition. Came to the Twins from the Giants.
They needed a leadoff hitter. They needed some speed, and Gladden filled both those roles.
Not a bad World Series player, was he? 7 RBIs.
He had a great time there, too. He enjoyed himself. The opportunity to get in the World Series, and Gladden had an outstanding series. There's that changeup. You could see the difference in speed. He had a little bit of a tail that came inside towards Gladden. I asked Stottlemyre how long he was going to go today. He said, I'm going 1 hitter at a time.
Whitmar said he wants him to pitch 5 innings. He's jammed on that, and the left fielder, Benitez, will come in. He's got a long way to go. Kelly makes the catch. How about that one?
Are you sure that's not Alfredo Griffin out there? What a great catch. Concentration. No doubt about his concentration. Curveball. Gladden lifts to left field. Inside. Stottlemyre didn't get away from him, but Gladden pops it up. Now watch Benitez. He's coming hard from left field. It's a tough sky. He's got a long run. Look at the concentration from Kelly. He looks and sees Benitez is not going to get it, and then goes right back in there. No question about the possibility of a collision, and he gets out of the way.
To think he's only 17. Do they check birth certificates around here from the Dominican?
I don't know. He's been playing a long time.
He sure has.
Jimmy Kelly. Remember that name, folks.
Greg Gagne, the shortstop. Good fastball.
Stottlemyre throws about 95 miles an hour at times. There aren't a whole lot of people you can say that about in the American League these days.
High fly ball to center field. Ducey gets under it. That'll bring up Kirby Puckett. Well, what a year he had last year. He's quite an individual, isn't he, Buck? You and I had a long conversation with him before the game. Remember last year he came into spring training a rotund 230 pounds.
When you're 5'8", it really shows up. He admits it. He said he was a little bit pudgy last year, but look at those numbers. 332, 28, and 99.
He came in at 218 this year. He said he wasn't going to put himself through that same aggravation. I said, did anybody say to you? And he said, well, of course, my reply was just look at the numbers I put up. 28 home runs, 99 RBIs, hit 332.
But that's cost him some speed, though. He doesn't have the stolen bases like he used to.
I guess what Kirby's saying, I could weigh 400 pounds as long as I can hit and run and field.
He wouldn't be able to hit and run very long, though. He might have a good year. He's one of those guys that everybody just loves to talk to. Other players, he's got so much energy. He truly enjoys playing the game of baseball, and he's a pleasure to watch on the field. The first time I ever saw him, you know, he was a youngster, so excited to be in the big leagues. He was talking to the other teammate, going over, oh, hi, Lloyd Mosby, it's nice to meet you. Oh, it's great to be here. And he's continued to have that same enthusiasm. Whoops. Pretty good pitch. Todd took a little hop towards the dugout. Sherwood Merrill wouldn't ring up Puckett. Evens the count at 2-2. Changeup misses low.
It's a full count. Stottlemyre is 1-1 in spring training. 11 innings pitched coming into this game. Giving up 9 hits, 5 earned runs. has walked only 2, struck out 10. Base hit, center field. He got that fastball up a little high.
Well, you know, that's the sign of a young pitcher. He had Puckett 1 ball and 2 strikes and just couldn't finish him off. He threw a pretty good pitch on the outside that Merrill called a ball, missed with another, and then comes right down Broadway to Puckett with a full count. But Stottlemyre will learn that, boy, when you have those good hitters in a hole, you got to finish them off.
That'll bring up the big first baseman, Kent Hrbek. 6'4", 244 pounds.
Arguably.
Mm-hmm.
Anywhere from 244 to places unknown. What a great guy.
We want to show you folks at home where Kent Hrbek hit a home run on this ballpark. It is unbelievable. See that blue light standard? Our camera will zoom in to the top of that light standard. It hit on the yellow about 4 feet from the top. They say it's the hardest hit ball they've ever seen in the stadium. And there have been some rocket shots.
That's a long ways up there. I would like to see that put inside Yankee Stadium. You can see that that's near the upper deck level of Yankee Stadium in comparison.
I was asking Tom Kelly about some other balls that have been hit in this park. There's a light standard in left field. And he said that Mike Marshall hit one right through the light standard. There it is. And as we pull back on that camera shot, you'll see a lake in the background. Mike Schmidt, in his rookie season, put one into the lake out there. It bounced a few times, but at least it got there. And another kid that about 10 years ago, a kid by the name of Mike Pepe, he bounced one into the lake as well. What would you say that is from home plate, that lake?
About $5 in the cap. That's a long ways.
I'd only be guessing. Got to be over 600 feet.
Oh, yeah. Easy.
Hit to center field where Ducey will wait for it and make the catch for the 3rd out. So Todd Stottlemyre leaves Kirby Puckett stranded at first, and after 1 here in Orlando, Florida, the Blue Jays lead it 4-0. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Well, Juan Beniquez just hit a rope to center field. Kirby Puckett made the catch. So there's 1 down here in the 2nd inning. Freddie McGriff steps in. Lined a home run to deep right center field in the 1st inning.
He might really make Jimmy Williams' decision an easy one if he continues to hit left-handers the way he did Carlton in the 1st inning.
I think you've got to pencil his name in the lineup, leave him there day 1 to the end of the season. For fun, he's going to hit you 25 home runs, I think.
Did you hear that, Jimmy? Fergie thinks you ought to put him in there. You can't go too far wrong with that move.
Yeah.
He's a youngster. All he needs to do is face those left-handers. He's got great ability.
You go down and ask Freddie McGriff right now, how do you hit left-handers? He'll say, well, I've had pretty good success off left-handers in spring training.
But you know what last year did for Fred McGriff? It gave him the opportunity to gain some confidence.
They broke him in nicely.
They broke him in nicely. They gave him the opportunity. He didn't see any real tough left-handers, and he ended up with a 20 home run season.
He's caught looking on that pitch.
Don Mattingly would have had trouble with that pitch, Fred. Don't worry about that one. Carlton drops one down and away from you. There's that good Carlton slider. Snappy right at the end, and Durwood Merrill rings up Fred McGriff. McGriff thought it was a little low, but that's that patented Steve Carlton slider.
Cecil Fielder singled and scored a run in the 1st inning. Cecil had pretty good luck against these Minnesota Twins last year. Hit over 400. In fact, the only home run he hit off a right-hander came off of Jeff Reardon.
Cecil's become a pretty good hitter in his own right.
Mm-hmm.
There's that off-speed pitch that Carlton continues to work with. And Cecil out in front.
Pops it out into shallow right field. Bernatsky's got to come. Lombardozzi is there to make the play. 3 up, 3 down for lefty. As we head to the bottom of the second inning, Jays still leading 4-0. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Quite a few Canadians down here. You walk out on the field prior to the game, Buck. A lot of them coming over for autographs to talk to you, and of course, people down here visiting Disney World, and there's a horse training center in Orlando. A lot of Canadians are here that down training horses. Saw Jack Popus downstairs.
Third baseman, number 8, Gary Gaetti.
Other guy I saw, and I don't even know his name, but I know they call him the Thumper. It's from the racetrack. Everybody up there will know him, but he is a character. He buys season tickets every year to the Minnesota Twins spring training games. Gaetti.
What a year Gaetti had. 31 homers, 109 RBIs. He had quite a season. The G-Man. You know, he had a great year in the field, too. You don't really think of him as a good fielder, but he fielded .973. Set a club record for the Twins there. Second consecutive Gold Glove.
General consensus, I think, down here, Buck, seems to be that these umpires will not be changing their strike zone. What do you think?
I think that they've worked an awful long time to perfect their own particular strike zone, and you can't ask them to adjust that overnight.
Stottlemyre gets that pitch up, and Gaetti will have an extra base. He jumped all over that one, didn't he?
Good fastball hitter. He was ahead in the count. Stottlemyre had fallen behind, and boy, he got on top of that ball. Hit it right by fielder at third base, down the left field corner. But getting back that strike zone, watch that high ball right there. Now, that was up there. In my mind, that's a ball. But Gaetti got on top of it. Stottlemyre a little bit up with his pitches.
Dwight Lowry steps in. He played in a B game here this morning and hit a home run. McGriff makes the play, flips it to Stottlemyre. 1 down. Gaetti moves over to third. Lowry, of course, came over from Detroit. He was a catcher.
He was picked
Looks
up
like
on waivers.
he could be a good hitter.
He's got a good bat. He hit the ball hard 3 times in that B game, and Tom Kelly, once he found out Larkin couldn't start, wanted to take another look at Lowry. Bernansky steps in, takes strike 1 from Stottlemyre.
Bernansky's hit between 240 and 260 the past 4 seasons. Been pretty consistent. Driven in between 75 and 90 RBIs.
He's been extremely consistent, especially with the home runs. There's only been 7 major leaguers to hit 20 home runs in each of the last 6 seasons. Bernansky's one of them. What a great guy. He's part of the Fab Four. Bernansky, Puckett, Herbeck, and Gaetti. They're kind of a collection of throwback ball players in that they go out there, they have a good time, they're practical jokers, they're really enjoying themselves on the field.
Pops that up in the infield. Gruber will call for it. 2 down. Talking to Puckett about, you know, what he did in the offseason. He said he took it easy. He said, spoke at 2 banquets, and that was it. For winning the World Series, the Twins didn't get too much out of it, other than the World Series check.
Well, you know, there are only basically 2 places that are really going to make big deals out of it, L.A. and New York. It is a big deal. They're world's champions. They should be proud. But as far as marketing themselves, it's something that they're good ball players, and they'll find a few things to do around Minneapolis, but not a whole lot nationally. There's that pitch that's right on the borderline of being a ball. That, you know, the umpires now can say, hey, that's a new strike zone. I just called that higher strike. But Durwood Merrill, he's a veteran umpire, has a very consistent low strike zone. Once again, right on the top of it. The definition of the strike zone is a line between the armpit and the belt, halfway between the armpit and the belt. That's the top of the strike zone. You watch as the batter gets in here. If you would draw a line across his armpit down to his belt, halfway between there would be the top of the strike zone. Goes all the way down to the top of the knees. Of course, it's 17 inches wide. So it basically is, the inch would be basically a ball's size above his belt. That would be the top of the strike zone. Good curved ball. Stottlemyre catches the corner.
So through 2 innings, Stottlemyre's given up 2 base hits. He has struck out 1. Jays lead it 4-0. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. 4-0, the Blue Jays leading it. We go to the 3rd inning. Carlton, after giving up those 4 runs off of 5 hits in the 1st inning, has settled down and retired 5 in a row now, as Ernie Witt will lead things off for the Blue Jays. You know, I think, Buck, as you look at the Minnesota Twins and what they did last year, they certainly weren't the best team on paper, but they succeeded where it counted, and by winning. I think the Twins only ranked 10th in hitting and pitching.
But you know, they set the tone for the entire postseason play with those 2 home runs that Gary Gaiety hit in the first game against the Twins. In his first 2 postseason at-bats, he connected for home runs, and that let the Twins believe that they could play with anybody. And that spirit carried right on through to the World Series.
Of course, they're tough at home. 56-25. The Metrodome. Ernie Witt down to Gagne. He drops the ball. That picks it up and throws out Witt.
Now Ernie Witt can go back to the dugout and you say, you see, it works out. I got jammed the first time, got a base hit. Next time up, I hit one right on the nose, and Gagne makes a play. So I'll take a hit every time I get one.
Kelly Gruber. He singled in his first plate appearance. Those Twins blitzed Detroit in 5 games and took the Cards the 7th deciding game of the World Series. Fly ball lofted out into right field. Bernansky, a routine catch. 2 down. Don't forget, Blue Jays bonus day, Sunday, April the 17th. The Twins and the Blue Jays. Mark that date down on your calendar. It's good to have John Pickett, our statistician, with us. Tom McKee and Mike Lansbury are back, along with Stephanie Williams in the telecast this year. Rick Leach. He walked with the bases loaded in the first. Hits one into right field for a base hit. It looked like he was heading to second. Nice throw by Bernansky, and Leach scampers back.
That was a great job of base running by Rick Leach. He ran full out. He saw Bernansky come up with it and fire a good throw to second base, and then he came right in. He just flips this ball into right field. Really doesn't hit it awful hard. Brunansky has to go the line to cut it off, and he picks it up cleanly, fires a strike to second, and Leach really got a nice turn. If Brunansky bobbles that ball at all, Leach is in there with 2 outs. A very good base running job.
That'll bring up Rob Ducey. Ducey battling for that center field spot with Camposano. Managed to get into 34 games with the Jays last year, hit 188.
Carlton's making some tough pitches on Ducey. He dropped that slider right on the outside corner. And Ducey's really in a hole here. No balls and 2 strikes. This is where he's really got to fight to take this ball into left field. He knows that Carlton's got that great breaking ball. Doesn't have the good velocity anymore, so he can really stay on him. There's a toss to first base. But Carlton doesn't have that velocity to get inside anymore, so Ducey can wait a little bit longer, just try to fight him off into left field. So breaking ball away.
Tomorrow the Blue Jays will play the Cardinals in St. Petersburg. Jim Clancy will pitch for Toronto. Then Tuesday in Port Charlotte, they'll play the Texas Rangers. And then Wednesday back in Dunedin against Detroit at 1:30, and we'll have that game for you right here on TSN. That'll be our final telecast for spring training. Thursday they'll play Pittsburgh, and then it's off to Denver, where they'll play the Minnesota Twins twice.
Barring any snow.
You were saying it was 78 degrees there the other day, weren't you?
It has been great out there, but you know how it can change this time of the year. Oh, that's a bad pitch.
Bad call. That's right. Tough break for Rob Ducey.
And now Derwood's going to holler at Ducey. The ball looked like it was down and away from him.
Sure was.
Rung him up.
Second strikeout for Steve Carlton. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Well, we've just got Howie Starkman in the booth with us, telling us about Mike Flanagan, what he did in the B game this morning. Knoxville beat Syracuse 3-2. Flanagan, the winning pitcher, went 7 innings, gave up 3 hits, a couple of runs. Pretty nice job by the left-hander, Mike Flanagan.
You know, that's important for them to go over there and get that kind of work in where they can stretch it out while still you're giving an opportunity to young Todd Stottlemyre to get some exposure against a major league club. The veterans key did it the other day. Flanagan goes over to that complex and gets his work in. Flanagan threw 82 pitches in that game.
Cerruti had his best outing in spring training yesterday, threw 64 pitches.
Boy, he was sharp.
Wasn't he?
Oh, boy.
There's been a lot of talk about the Blue Jays possibly trading Cerruti. But in spring training,
there's a lot of talk about
a lot of
things.
rumors, period.
Cerruti is so valuable. He can start, pitch in relief, pitch on a few days rest.
This is Laudner's first plate appearance.
You can see Ernie Witt motioning to Todd Stottlemyre, stay down now, listen, nice and relaxed, stay calm. Youngster out there, when things don't go well, you have a tendency to overthrow, and Witt's trying to put a rein on those emotions. Catches the outside corner there. There's no doubt about his ability. He's got great stuff. Now you just have to get him to realize how to get the best of that. Look at old Ernie down there, nice and comfortable, flashing the signs. Good breaking ball. What a curveball. He set it up well. He had high fastball, went to the outside with a fastball, and then dropped Uncle Charlie on the catcher. Watch this curveball roll off the table. No chance. Good pitch from Stottlemyre.
So Stottlemyre now has struck out a pair, has given up only 2 hits. We're in the bottom of the 3rd inning with 1 down. And the batter is Dan Gladden, the left fielder. Jimmy Kelly, the shortstop, made a sensational play on Gladden. He'll have another shot at it. Can't quite reach that one, and Gladden gets a base hit.
Kelly was shading him towards the hole in short, went back up the middle and just got a big bouncing ball. Hits it on the ground, and it takes a big bounce on this hard baked infield and bounces right over the glove of Kelly. Got a bright future now. He's checking with Gruber at second to see who's going to cover on a ball back to the mound. Gladden with good speed at first base.
There goes the runner. The throw by Witt. Oh, they've got him.
Gladden questioned it, but Ernie Witt threw one on the money. A little bit on the first base side of the bag at second. Witt does a good job of getting rid of this ball. Inside corner. Nice, quick delivery. Jimmy Kelly puts the tag on him before he ever got to the bag.
Gladden thought he missed him with a tag, but you can see right here where he got him.
No question.
Fred McGriff going back at that pop-up. Rick Leach is there, and he makes the catch. So another easy inning for Mel Stottlemyre and his young boy, Todd. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Jimmy Kelly leading it off for the Blue Jays. Fouls that one back out of play. We're in the fourth inning with Toronto leading 4-0. The temperature has now gone up to 83 degrees. In fact, it's so hot in this booth, Buck, you and I might be going steady by the end of this telecast. Wow, is it hot here.
Let me slide over. 28 degrees Celsius.
6 hits for the Blue Jays, 3 for the Minnesota Twins. It sure makes it easy to make a trade when you got a guy like Stottlemyre you know is going to be on the club. It's just a question when. Gives the team a little more room to move.
You've got Stottlemyre, you've got Nunez, there's Al Widmar. You're going to sit close to that guy for a while. Yeah. Stottlemyre's going to win a lot of games. He's talking with Widmar right now, talking about his grip. If I want it to sink a little bit, do I get on top of it? But Stottlemyre has all the makeup.
Nunez, he's had some blister problems. One blister on his thumb, one on his middle finger, and he's a guy that he was saying the other day he usually only gets one blister a year. And this year he's already had 3 and one in winter ball.
What, is there a limit? Only one a year or what? He had one last year during the season that kept him out of a couple of games. But there's another promising arm. He did a good job for the Jays last year. They project him as a starter and probably like to send him to Syracuse and get some innings in. Those are good problems when you've got those kind of arms knocking on the door.
I'd be surprised if they send Nunez to Syracuse. Very surprised. Base hit for Jimmy Kelly. He went with that pitch nicely.
Looked like an old veteran, didn't he? Fought off a couple tough pitches and then took that one into right field. Watch this swing. He goes out after it, head right down, slaps it into right. It's going to open up some eyes. You know, not only are there Blue Jay scouts around, but there's a lot of other club scouts watching all these games, and you see a kid like Jimmy Kelly picking it at shortstop and then slapping an occasional hit in there. It's going to get an awful lot of attention. People will be inquiring about his availability.
Well, with the injury to Tony Fernandez and then Manny Lee getting hurt, it's given Jimmy Kelly a chance to be seen down here.
When we came to spring training, we asked who this youngster was, and we didn't expect to see him play very much, but as things worked out in spring training, he has gotten in an awful lot of games and done a great job.
That hurt.
Manny Lee saying, wow. He said, I'm just having a tough spring here. First my shoulder, then I foul the ball off. Curveball. Just bangs him on the leg. But he's been slowed up by that shoulder problem. Hasn't had an opportunity to play in the field for about 10 days. Carlton has settled down since that rocky first inning. And they gave up 4 runs on 5 hits, including a 2-run homer by Fred McGriff.
Two balls and 2 strikes to Manny Lee. He's safe at first, not at second.
Good adjustment by Gagne there as Lombardozzi went to the bag. He was catching it. Watch as Lee really spanks this one on the ground. Lombardozzi goes towards the bag. He's going to flip it to second, and then it comes out of his hand. Gagne bends over and picks it up, gets the force at second, fires on to first. Not in time to get Lee, but a heads-up play by the shortstop.
That'll bring up the left fielder, Juan Beniquez. He's 0 for 2. Both times he is flied out to Puckett in center field. Down to Gagne, the shortstop. They get one over the first, double play. Make no mistake this time. 4-0, Blue Jays leading. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. 4-0, Blue Jays leading the Minnesota Twins. We go to the bottom of the 4th inning. The Twins with only 3 hits off the right-hander, Todd Stottlemyre. Gaetti had a double down the left field line in the 2nd inning. Puckett did have a single in the 1st, and Gladden a single in the 3rd inning. That's it. He's done a nice job today. And that's an outstanding lineup that the Minnesota Twins have out there.
That's their A team, no doubt about it.
There are no soft touches in that lineup.
I tell you, you know, they talk about, well, they were lucky they just got hot during the postseason, but this is a good hitting ball club. They can score some runs. Their pitching staff's going to be stronger this year. Viola, of course, coming back from a great year. Veteran Bert Blyleven. Charlie Lee coming back after 2 years, just throwing the ball very well.
He's got the team made.
Yes.
As of today, barring an injury.
Carlton and Necro. Les Straker, rookie last year, did a good job. So they'll throw a pretty good pitching staff at you.
Straker got banged around in that B game this morning, but he had a case of bronchitis. If you're looking for an excuse.
Those B games are tough to pitch in. You generally have some AAA players that don't know anything about the pitcher. They don't know he's supposed to be pretty good, and they're just up there hacking.
A ball and 2 strikes to Puckett.
This telecast is presented by the authority of the Toronto Blue Jays Baseball Club and may not be rebroadcast in any form without the express written consent of the Toronto Blue Jays Baseball Club.
You're ready.
Let's go north.
Let's get out of here.
Puckett went after a high fastball. That's that good Stottlemyre fastball, and Puckett's an outstanding fastball hitter. But this one's up around the eyes. He couldn't lay off.
And strikeout number 3 for Stottlemyre.
That's a good pitch right there. That first pitch curveball, the left-handed hitters, it shows him that he's got a pretty good hook. Then he can come back with an off-speed pitch or that good fastball. Stottlemyre, of course, has the advantage of talking to his dad about pitching. The great Yankee pitcher, Mel Stottlemyre, now the Mets pitching coach. And I'm sure that Mel doesn't get an awful lot of opportunity to watch Todd pitch.
Widmeyer was telling me the other day down in Bradenton, we got talking about Stottlemyre, and he said, you know, this kid goes out and he thinks he can blow everybody away with his fastball. Well, you can't do that in the big leagues unless you're a Roger Clemens. And he said he's got to learn to pitch out there. He's got to learn to use his off-speed pitches. And that's what he's doing here in spring training. He said he's really coming along.
Takes just a few instances of success with those sinker balls, a couple good change-ups, and he'll be convinced. Just missed inside there.
Herbeck draws the walk. That's the first one that Stottlemyre has issued.
Gary Giannetti.
Well, we can all hardly wait for opening day. Monday, April the 11th, the Yankees and the Blue Jays, as George Bell calls them, those Yankees.
Those Yankees.
They'll be in town.
Those Yankees are fighting again.
Yeah.
Winfield, Randolph, they're upset with one another. Winfield wrote some statements in his newly released book how Randolph had stated that you could never be a true Yankee as a black man. He said that he denied he ever said that. Winfield responded, well, he said it. It's in my book, and I'm sorry if he doesn't want to admit to it. But boy, those Yankees are back at it, aren't they? Season hasn't even started. It worries me, though.
It's been so quiet.
It worries me. It's the same way the Oakland A's used to get along back in the early 70s. They won 3 consecutive World Championships. Yankees got great talent on that club. You know, you talk about the lack of pitching. They've got Roden, of course, Dotson coming over there. Tommy John, you know, how old is he? Youngster Al Leiter, 22 years old, throws
Who might be the best pitcher on their staff.
as hard as anybody.
Candelaria.
Candyman is a winning pitcher.
Yep, he sure is. Gaetti gets out in front of a curveball and slashes it foul.
So I've said before, when you're a Yankee pitcher and you get ready to take the mound, you check around you and see the kind of lineup that's out there. That'll give you a little bit of a confidence boost before you go out there.
You know, for opening day, April the 11th in Toronto, all reserve seats naturally have been sold, but there are plenty of general admission available. Free team picture calendars, courtesy of Shoppers Drug Mart. Gaetti laces one into left. That's his second straight hit off of Stottlemyre.
Number 39, Dwight Lowry.
Gaetti, a good fastball hitter, gets one in his wheelhouse and just didn't get it up in the air, but hit it solidly in left field.
Dwight Lowry steps in. Stottlemyre checks the runners. You know, a guy like Lowry, you can blow a fastball by. A guy like Gaetti, you can't.
Not out of a cannon.
Off-speed pitch, it's low for a ball.
Lowry has a shot at making this club as a catcher, left-handed hitter. Loudner, of course, a right-handed hitter. And Tom Nieto in the competition, also a right-handed hitter. So Lowry has a pretty good shot at making the club. They have a youngster, not a youngster by any means, Brian Harper, coming originally out of the Angels. Played a little bit in Detroit, a little bit in St. Louis. He can catch. They penciled him in as the third catcher.
Put that to left field. Benika's back a few steps, makes the play.
Right fielder, number 24.
That'll bring up Tom Bernansky.
Bernansky.
This is the time of the spring when you'd really like things to come together. You can go about it for the first 4 weeks or so and say, well, I'm getting in shape. My timing will come around. But now it's the last week of the spring training games. You want to start making good contact, getting a few hits, starting to build up some confidence. It's tough to go into opening day and just switch it on and say, okay, now I'm going to hit. You want to carry some momentum from spring training into the regular season opener.
Well, from the time of that last pitch in Detroit, Blue Jay fans have been waiting for opening day, April the 4th. It's been a long winter.
Good changeup. And Bernansky way out in front. Stottlemyre had a good delivery on that one.
You know, it's funny, talking with some of the Twins players, well, they asked me, well, what are the sports writers? What were they saying in the off season? Anybody looking for something other than the fact that Fernandez and Witt were injured and that's why they lost it? I said, oh, you'll hear the odd story. Ducey broke slowly, but he makes the catch. What a nice play. He got a bad jump of that ball.
He comes hard with good speed. He didn't pick it up. It was off the end of the bat, and he had to come in and make a diving catch, but he saved a run for Todd Stottlemyre. At the end of 4, it's Toronto 4, Minnesota nothing. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN.
Bob Jones. We'll just speak to you, Kurt. Well, they're having a good time here at Tinker Field in Orlando this afternoon. A lot of Canadians here enjoying this fine weather. It is now 84 degrees.
Perfect.
I just got a call. Somebody from the press box came over and said a fan called from Toronto and said, quit rubbing in the temperature. Well, it's unfortunate you're up there. We're down here enjoying this terrible weather. This
got me bothered, Ferg.
Yeah, sure does.
What a rip McGriff had at that ball.
In case you joined us late, McGriff hit a rope to right center field for his 4th home run here in spring training. Blue Jays leading 4-0. Carlton still on the mound. He has given up 7 hits. That's to protect that. There's probably not too much hair left underneath that.
No, it'd be tough in this sun. Another one of them. Temperature 84. Look at that, Toronto. 84. We've been waiting a month for that weather.
Yes, you're right. McGriff looks at another called 3rd strike from Steve Carlton.
Third baseman, number 23.
Right on the outside corner once again, and McGriff hot looking. Carlton gets him with a fastball this time. So back-to-back strikeouts for McGriff.
Carlton now has 4. Cecil Fielder, the hitter. Gets under that one and hits it out into shallow center field. Puckett makes the play. 2 down. Well, Carlton has settled down nicely, hasn't he? Our next telecast, the Tigers and the Blue Jays, Wednesday from Dunedin at 1:30. Make sure you join us for your final look at the Blue Jays. Jimmy Williams said he's going to be cutting some players on Wednesday, so we should have all that information for you.
That's the time of the year when players go in the locker room and they don't really look at anybody. You don't want to go look up and see anybody's eyes because they'll be waving you into the manager's office.
Boy, I thought Willie Upshaw sure handled it in a professional manner when he came to the complex yesterday morning and met with the media.
He's always been a classy guy,
Sure
and that's
has.
the same way he handled this. It was a hard time for him, and he did wait until all the players were out onto the field. He just didn't want to walk in the middle of the clubhouse with players in there.
Chopper down to Lombardozzi off the bat of Ernie Witt. 3 up, 3 down for Steve Carlton and the Minnesota Twins. We head to the bottom of the 5th inning. Jays still leading 4-0. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. There he is, the man who gets the talent for Jimmy Williams, the field manager, Pat Gillick. Enjoying a sunny afternoon here in Orlando. And he's going to have some decisions to make along with his scouting staff and manager Jimmy Williams in a few days.
Pat continues to say he'd like to have another veteran starting pitcher. And he wants to go out there and make a deal. And there's been some talk around, no specifics, of course, but they're talking with everybody. This time of the year, clubs get together and they'll make phone calls. And how's your club shaping up?
2 months ago, they were talking about Mike Boddicker with Baltimore.
The Yankees have been talking about Boddicker also.
But his name has resurfaced again. Now, whether there's any truth to that, who knows?
Boddicker. There's talk about possible Philly deal. Ruffin, Shane Raleigh.
Lombardozzi hits that to Ducey in center field. One down here in the bottom of the 5th inning with the Blue Jays leading it 4-0.
But you know, no matter what you hear, what kind of talk you hear, the general managers are the only ones that know what's for real, and they're working on deals, I'm sure. Everybody wants to improve their club at this time, but it's so tough when you're trying to get down to 24-man roster. And you have to cut your own players and then try to figure out how you're going to squeeze in an additional player. 1-for-1 deal, sometimes 2-for-1 deals, and then they present problems on the roster.
Well, the one thing you have to remember, the Jays won 96 ball games last year. You just have to improve slightly. And is there that one player that can put this club over the hump?
I'm not sure what it would be at this time. Pat Borders has seemed to answer the problem behind the plate.
Buck, you know too well, though. Spring training, there's a big difference between Florida and the Major League season.
You're right, but he's not going to have to play every day. He's going to be able to platoon. He's always had confidence with the bat in his hand, and he seems to have handled the catching job all right. When you have a veteran staff like the Blue Jays staff, they are pretty easy to work with. He has good athletic ability. He throws well. I think he can do a very adequate job backing up Ernie Witt and possibly really come on and maybe become more of a full-time type player. At this point, all they want him to do is catch and throw the ball reasonably well. They don't expect him to be a Johnny Bench behind the plate, but they are hard-pressed to come up with somebody to receive the ball and hit from the right side.
Charlie Moore was a stopgap last year, but there's no question Borders is much better than Charlie Moore.
Charlie didn't have the advantage of spring training. He didn't sign until May 1st and had to work in San Jose most of the summer. I think Pat Borders will be all right.
2-2 pitch is fouled back out of play by the catcher, Tim Laudner.
I don't think anybody with the Blue Jays got excited about Borders' 400 batting average in spring training as much as they did with the way he looked relaxed behind the plate. You have to remember that Matt Stark is still lurking around down there, too, and he's a solid right-handed bat coming off arm surgery, just regaining his strength. Talked with Gord Ash the other day about Stark's strength, and he said he hasn't been given the green light to go full tilt in the game yet. Good fastball. Laudner just gets a piece of it, but Stottlemyre's got that fastball jumping high in the strike zone.
Number 4 for Stottlemyre. What a job he has done here today.
Take a look at this. This is a good fastball hitting right-hander right there. He blows it by him.
Dan Gladden, the leadoff hitter, the left fielder, slaps one down the line. Fair ball. Maniquez into the corner. Cecil Fielder, the third baseman, didn't move on that play. Cecil hasn't had any chances down there today, has he?
He's had some. He hasn't made them look like chances. Look at this bullet right there, and he just kind of looks at it and says, wow, look at that one. Right by me.
Brooks Robinson wouldn't have had that ball.
He's definitely not reminding people of Pie Traynor down there, but he's a first baseman. Look at him laughing. He said they're getting on me over there in Minnesota's dugout.
Somebody should drop a bunt down just to see if Cecil can move.
He's giving it everything he's got. You know, Seth plays a lot better first base than people really realize. He moves around very well down at first base. Got some range, good glove.
I think he played something like 16 errorless games at first base last year.
He played very well at first base. Sess, it's going to take you a little bit of an adjustment over at third, though, buddy.
He's sure having fun playing there, though.
Oh, he is. He loves to get out on that field.
Gagne, the hitter. Now, he's 0 for 2 off Stottlemyre.
Now you've got a young pitcher. He's got the hitter, no balls, 2 strikes with 2 outs. Let's see how he goes about finishing them off.
High fly ball to right field. Leach is there for the 3rd out.
He went right after him and got that good high fastball and hit a lazy fly ball to right field. So at the end of 5, Toronto still leads Minnesota 4-0. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN.
Well, you look back to last season and you see the performance. The Blue Jays against the Twins. The Blue Jays, great success, as I told you off the top of the telecast. The Jays have had a winning record against Minnesota for the past 6 years. In fact, they're 62-60 lifetime. You know, the ERA of the pitching staffs, the average. Blue Jays so dominant over Minnesota, yet the Twins went on to win the World Series. How do you explain it?
Whoever wins the last game of the year, that's the key. Top of the 6th, it'll be Gruber, Leach, and Ducey, and they'll face new pitcher Jamie Easterly. Jamie 1-1 last year with Cleveland, 4.65 ERA. He's just over here from the minor league camp. He signed a minor league contract as a free agent. He's trying to come back from arm surgery 2 years ago.
Gruber, the hitter. He's 1 for 2. Easterly has sure kicked around for a long time, hasn't he?
Started out in the Braves organization, went to Milwaukee, eventually to Cleveland. Change up, that's a new pitch for Easterly. He throws hard for a little guy. He got good velocity, pretty good breaking pitch, and you can see by that change up, that's something he's working on. From Crockett, Texas.
I think we've seen the end of Stottlemyre. Alex Sanchez, who was warming up in that Blue Jay bullpen, has come on down to the dugout now. And Sanchez, young man the Blue Jays signed out of UCLA. We'll tell you more about him later. Gruber pops out into right field where Bernansky waits for it. That'll bring up Rick Leach. And Stottlemyre today, he struck out 4, gave up 5 hits. He was magnificent.
Now Widmar will really be pleased with that outing. He only walked 1. Had good command of all of his pitches and used them all. So that's what they're looking for the youngster.
Well, that's the type of outing that'll get you a plane ticket to Toronto. Chopped down to Herbeck. He'll flip it over to Easterly for the 2nd out.
That could take them back and have them scratching their heads. What are we going to do now? He continues to pitch well.
Center fielder number 40, Rob Ducey.
It's obvious. I mean, by this outing, he looks like he's ready.
I think he's ready. I think he came to spring training ready. He had it in his mind he was going to pitch well.
Stottlemyre was the 3rd player taken in the June '85 free agent draft. As Ducey hits that out to Gladden in left field. 3 up, 3 down for the left-hander, Jamie Easterly. 4-0, Jays leading. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Number 27 on the mound is Alex Sanchez. 4-game series starting Monday, April 11th, opening day. The New York Yankees in to play the Blue Jays. There will be free team picture calendars.
I'm a little sad to see that series coming up so early in the year.
Let the Blue Jays finish with the Yankees by July.
Yeah. little bit of cotton candy. Nice Sunday afternoon. 4-0 Blue Jays. Bottom of the 6th inning.
Alex Sanchez, a young right-hander who's just 21 years old. He started last year in St. Catharines, and there's his record, 8-3. He had a big year at UCLA in '86 where he was 16-3. And then he had an off season, 6-7. And the Blue Jays, their first pick, took Sanchez. They knew something that a lot of other teams didn't know.
Well, it shows the depth that the scouting system has for the Blue Jays. They saw him pitch the year before. They knew he had good stuff. He had a bit of an arm problem, went out and tried to overthrow. He wasn't really in shape, he told me, and he just tried to blow people away, and he came up with a bad arm. But the Blue Jays, doing a great job of scouting, remembered the year before and took him #1, feeling that if they could work that arm problem out, he'd be a good find.
Jays also, Al Widmar there, and Jimmy Williams blamed his poor season on his delivery problem. He's got an above-average fastball, great changeup. He's an excellent fielder, a good athlete. And he's a young man who I'm sure one day will be pitching in the Dome Stadium. Well, that Sky Dome is coming along beautifully, isn't it, Buck?
Looks like it's right on time. Won't be long.
I think it'll be the most magnificent stadium anywhere in the world, bar none.
It certainly has all aspects. Unusual. A hotel inside, a restaurant.
You can rent a room and watch the game from your hotel room.
Boy, that'd be great. Listen, honey, let's go out and get a hotel room this weekend. Find out it's at the ballpark. That'll go over real big.
Order room service. A ball and 2 strikes to Kirby Puckett. Sanchez led the New York Penn League in strikeouts last year.
As I pointed out before, when you have a young pitcher on the mound and he's got a good hitter like Puckett in a hole, you'd like to see him go right after him and finish him off. He missed with the curveball. And now let's see, with the 2-2 count, he's going away from Puckett. Good pitch, fastball on the outside corner. Puckett just fouled it off. But you'd like to get the opportunity to see a young pitcher. Al Widmar, of course, a watchful eye of his youngsters. But you'd like to see those young pitchers get that killer instinct and just put these hitters away. They've got the stuff. You don't want to see them nibbling on the corners. There's another example now. He runs the count to 3-2.
Yeah, it's amazing how this game can fool you. You look at the Blue Jay lineup and the players that they brought over from Dunedin for today's ball game, and you know, not too many regulars out there. You look at the lineup that the Minnesota Twins fielded here this afternoon, a World Series lineup for regulars, and the Jays are leading 4-0.
Well, that's what makes for long days for pitching coaches. You see a guy have Puckett, leadoff hitter, a ball and 2 strikes, and eventually walks him by just trying to nibble. Go right after him. You got a 4-run lead. It's tough to hit a 4-run home run with nobody on base. So that's what causes pitching coaches to have gray hairs.
Sanchez inside to Herbeck.
You're trying to build up a pattern for your youngsters, and you want to get them to have a feel of what it takes to win. Even though it's a spring training game, you'd like them to really pick up on these things.
Buck, you're sitting doing some figuring before the game. Jimmy Williams going to take 10 pitchers north with him. Who do you see on the pitching staff?
Well, you've got your 5 starters, I believe. Key, Flanagan, Clancy, Steve, and Cerruti can start or swing for you. And, of course, in the bullpen, Hankey, Wells, Ward, Eichhorn, and I got Bob Shirley penciled in there.
You do.
He's had a great spring.
Ahead of Nunez and Stottlemyre.
That leaves a couple pretty good pitchers off your staff. But that's why I'm a broadcaster, not a manager, because I don't want to make that decision right now.
We'll probably see Bob Shirley a little later this afternoon. Or we might see him a little sooner than expected. The way Sanchez walked the first hitter. He's behind on the count to Herbeck with 2-1. Shirley is, there he is. He is scheduled to pitch an inning or 2 here today. He has had an outstanding spring for the Blue Jays.
They didn't pick him up until just before the start of spring training, signing to a AAA contract, and all he's done is come in here and just about pitched himself onto the club. Al Widmore worked with him this winter down in Tulsa, got his sinker ball sinking again.
And that's been the big difference. Popped up in the infield. McGriff, the first baseman, will call for him. He stumbled and still makes the catch.
Look at that big smile. Smooth, huh?
Is it that white line he stepped on down there?
I think so. That line jumped up. Watch, he gets underneath a little too far. Now he knows he's got to go back. Whoa, I better get back there. And makes a diving catch on a pop-up. Says, boy, that sun is bright up there. Look at him. Puckett's giving him what for, too, yeah. He said, boy, Fred, you really impressed me with that great play there.
One down, Gaetti, the batter. Gaetti's had a nice day. Double and a single. Chop past Cecil Fielder, foul at third base.
Cess, I think they're trying to pick on you, buddy. You're going to see what you can do down there at third. He's dying to catch one. I know he is. He's just dying to catch one. He'd like nothing better than to turn a double play. He said, now listen, Jimmy, what do I do with it? If I get it, I throw it to second, right?
I saw him make a great play the other day. The only problem was his throw was wide at first, but he made a great stab.
Oh, yeah. He's just dying to turn a double play out there. He's saying to himself, hit it to me, hit it to me. Softly, but hit it to me.
Sanchez is ahead on the count, 0-2 to Gaetti. High fly ball deep to left. Benitez will watch it. It is out of here. A home run. Hit the screen above the left field wall and bounces back out of the field. It is 4-2. For Gaetti, that's his 4th home run of spring training.
So I talked about earlier, this is how you like to finish up the last week of spring training, swinging a hot bat. Fastball right in his wheelhouse, and the G-man connects once again.
Well, he was ahead on the count, 0-2. And came, as you say, right down Broadway.
Gaetti, 3 for 3. Single, double home run. Pair of RBIs.
One down here in the 6th inning.
Sanchez is 0-2 again.
I was talking to John Wathan downstairs during that B game this morning, and I said, who are you pitching opening day? And he said, we're going to announce it this afternoon, and it'll be Saberhagen. And game 2, Lee Brandt. And Gubaza will start in game 3 against the Blue Jays. I'm sure it'll be Jimmy Key for Toronto. Who'd go second, Clancy or Flanagan?
I'm not sure. I don't know if Jimmy's really set him up yet.
No, he hasn't. At least he hasn't mentioned it to the press.
Oh, he hasn't announced it, but as far as setting up the rotation, you got to think Key pitched Thursday. No, he pitched Friday at the complex. Flanagan pitched today at the complex. Clancy pitched yesterday. So that's the way the rotation is set up. Key, Clancy, and Flanagan. That might be it in Kansas City. Which would mean Steve would get the opener in Minnesota. The home opener in front of that Minnesota crowd. Remember, the Cardinals say you can't play in there when there's so much noise. I think the Blue Jays will dispute that. They've had pretty good luck in there, and 4-2 in the Metrodome.
Last year, when they were 5-1 at home, Lowry goes down on strikes. So with 2 down, that'll bring up Tom Bernansky, the right fielder.
Back in '86, I think the Blue Jays were 12-1 against the Twins. They really overpowered them as Lowry goes after that high fastball from Sanchez.
One other team the Blue Jays have had great success with over the last 6 years, the Texas Rangers. I think if you go back to '84, they finished their season series tied at 6.
Of course, the pickings were slim there for a few years early on. A lot of the organizations are going to have the lead on the Blue Jays simply because of the expansion years. But I think from here on out, that man right there, Pat Gillick, will be pretty pleased year in and year out. It's a quality organization. They expect to win every year.
You think the wheels were turning right there about Stottlemyre?
They're always turning in that man's mind.
Well, I'll say. Down to Jimmy Kelly, the shortstop, to Freddie McGriff for the 3rd out. So through 6 innings here at Tinker Field in Orlando, the Blue Jays leading 4-2. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Ticket outlets are now open for single game advance sales. And all outlets. In Toronto, of course, stadium advance windows 9 to 6, 7 days a week are open. Commerce Court downtown 9 to 6, Monday through Friday. All Bass outlets, all Ticketron outlets. Blue Jays charge line number, area code 416-595-1362. Kelly, Lee, and Beniquez here in the top of the 7th as Minnesota manager Tom Kelly has made a number of changes, and we'll get to them in just a moment. Jimmy Kelly, 1 for 2 this afternoon with a single. Jamie Easterly still on the mound, and Kelly slaps that one foul down close to the bullpen area. Al Newman is now playing 3rd. There's the manager, Tom Kelly.
He's trying to figure out where Jimmy Kelly came from. He had a Blue Jay press guide.
No relation, I guess.
He's saying, who is this kid? 17 years old. Feels like Marty Marion. He already got a hit today.
Good breaking ball for a strike.
Easterly looks pretty sharp coming back from that arm problem. He told me earlier he's just trying to get a job.
Base hit for Jimmy Kelly. Oh, this kid looks right at home, doesn't he?
Smooth. You know he's going to get stronger. He's only 17 years old. put on some weight, get some muscle tone, and well, he took a nice swing at that ball also.
They say he's 150 pounds. That's in dispute. Looks more like about 135. He's just a little guy.
Manny Lee checked his bat, saw it flaking at the top, and asked Merrill if he could go get a new one.
That's what umpire Jimmy McKean said. He said one of the rules that they should put in place is when a batter comes to the plate, he should have a spare bat in the on-deck circle. Because what happens so many times, they'll break a bat, they'll run into the clubhouse to get another bat, and they'll take so much time. He said you see those delays all the time. He said that's what they should do to make hitters.
There are a lot of little things like that. They could speed the game up.
Oh, sure. It's a good point, too. Squares to bunt, the throw down, and Kelly's out of there. Nieto, the catcher.
This is one area that the Minnesota Twins have really suffered over the last few years, throwing out base runners. Watch Tom Nieto, how quick he gets rid of this ball. Good footwork, strong throw. Good tag by Gagne as Jimmy Kelly's out on a head-first slide. But the Twins last year have really struggled.
He slid a long way, too. A strike to Manny Lee. 1-1.
Nieto gives them a good solid receiver, right-handed hitter, played with the Cardinals. He gets back there, and pitchers really enjoy working with him.
Got Al Newman playing down at third. Tim Laudner, who started this game catching, is over at first base. Newman, a fine utility player for the Minnesota Twins. And there's Laudner at first. Mark Davidson is out in center field. Puckett's out of the game. Herbeck's out. Gaetti's out. It's Davidson in center. The $64 question at spring training: will Pat Gillick make a deal? Davidson in center field will camp under that line drive. 2 down.
Well, you know, Pat is always thinking and always trying to make the best move naturally, but he really studies hitters, he studies players, he tries to see what other clubs are doing, see what might be available, and he's a workaholic. He loves baseball, and he really...
You ever met anybody with a better memory than his?
Whitey Herzog.
Really?
Whitey's phenomenal. Pat has an outstanding memory, don't get me wrong, but Herzog remembers pitches, guys that never played the big leagues. He was a farm director for the Mets, and he can recall players just unbelievably. Back in Kansas City, he used to remember hits and runs back in April from September. Just a phenomenal memory. But
Tell you
Gillick,
what, if he's got a better memory than Gillick, he's got to be something.
oh yeah, Gillick is great at that. But they're both fans. They love baseball.
Beniquez, the batter.
I tell you, I like what I've seen from Jamie Easterly today. The only question about his stuff is whether or not his arm is back to 100%, and it looks as though it is. You know, you can never have too many left-handers. They're always looking for left-handers, kind of like the way they look for catchers.
That's why you feel Bob Shirley has an excellent chance to make this club.
I think so.
The fact that Musselman's down and he won't be ready for a month into the season.
And then you don't know how far he's going to come back.
That's right.
I mean, everybody's kind of just shrugging that injury off, but it's a long ways from being resolved.
Shirley is a piece of insurance for the Blue Jays.
You know, Easterly likes Shirley. There's Greg Myers getting loose down in the pen.
Boy, what a future he's got.
Good-looking catcher. Hit a home run the other day.
Pretty well straightaway center field. Over that Kelly Mossy sign that they say anybody hits one over that, they get $50. It's in Dunedin. Beniquez is thrown out by Al Newman. Now we head to the bottom of the seventh inning. The Blue Jays still leading at 4-2. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. There's a young man sitting on Dad's shoulders having some fun here at Tinker Field in Orlando. He'll be that much happier the fact he's been on television now. Blue Jays have made a change here. They're leading 4-2. Bottom of the seventh inning. Camposano has come in to play right field. Leach has moved over to left, and Beniquez is out of the ball game. Sanchez still pitching from Bardoza, Blodner, and Gladden. And there's the young man that right now appears to be ahead in that battle with Rob Ducey for the center field spot, but that is only our opinion.
And you know what that'll get us?
Not very much.
Not very much. There's a look at Leach. Moves from right to left field.
Camposano's hit a couple of home runs, driven in 5.
Leading off the run half of the 7th for Minnesota, second baseman number 4, Steve Lombardozzi.
This is the reason why I think Camposano might have an edge over Rob Ducey. He's got a little bit better arm. He's a little bit better outfielder. I think he's more versatile as far as playing all 3 positions. Natural center fielder, naturally, but he has a right field arm. He can throw well out there. I just think he has a little bit of an edge. Don't get me wrong. I think one day if they're both playing out in the outfield for the Blue Jays, that'll be a pretty solid outfield too.
You notice the day that Randy Hendricks left Dunedin, things have been quiet in the George Bell situation. He was told George to be quiet, you do your job, and we'll see what happens.
I think he just got George to understand the long-term ramifications of all this. Let's just go out there and play ball, let things settle in. Jimmy always said it wasn't written in stone to move to DH. Have to be a little bit flexible. But we're dealing with pretty good outfield.
There's Bob Shirley now throwing in the bullpen with John Sullivan looking over his shoulder. That evens up the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Steve Lombardozzi. Sanchez came on in the 6th inning, walked Kirby Puckett, got Herbeck on a pop-up, and then Gaetti hit a 2-run homer off it. And that's where we stand, 4-2. Blue Jays leading, bottom of the 7th inning. And down to Kelly, the shortstop. Nice play. Fires across to McGriff.
So effortless. Jimmy Kelly gets to balls. He has a lot of range. He's got a good enough arm. Lombardozzi hits this one towards center, but Jimmy Kelly cuts it off. He has to stretch far for it. Now watch how he rights himself, gets himself under control, and makes a strong throw to first base.
Just sort of flips that ball, isn't it? He does it again. Nice play. Scoops that one and gets Lodner.
Twins wanted to see if he was for real. Let's test him again. Jimmy Kelly makes a nice play on a little short hop. That ball bounced up a little bit. Lodner hits it right on the nose, right past the mound, and watch right at the end. There's a little tricky hop there, and he brings it up nicely, realizes he's got some time, and fires a strike to Fred McGriff. Boy, he looks like a veteran out there in the field. Got a couple hits today, single to right, single to left. Pretty good day for the young man.
Dan Gladden steps in with 2 down here in the bottom of the 7th inning. He's 2 for 3. And it was Kelly that took a base hit away from him back in the 1st inning. For the Blue Jays, selling Willie Upshaw to Cleveland solved one problem. Yankees and Expos, next telecast, Sunday, April the 3rd, 2 p.m. on TSN. From Montreal, all you Expo fans have a chance to watch the Yankees. Don Mattingly, the first baseman, said they're going to win it all this year. It'll be interesting to see what happens. You know, a line that I used that I really got from Tony Kubek is Tony and I were standing around talking to Willie Upshaw, and it's something like, you know, they can take your ability off this ball club, Willie Upshaw, but they can't take your character. And that's what he had. He had a lot of great character, didn't he, over the years?
He sure did. He was a classy man, and he led by example. He simply went out there and did his job. He never really was a rah-rah type player. But boy, he gave it his all out there, and he was just a leader on the field, off the field. Classy guy. We wish him well. He certainly adds some punch to that Cleveland offense, already a strong offense. Their problem has not been hitting, it's been pitching. But
you know what I found interesting, Buck? Pat Gillick phoned Upshaw in the offseason, told him back in December that he was going to try to move him. And he warned him. He handled the situation the way it should have been handled.
well, you know, they go back a long ways, back to the Yankees. Pat Gillick, of course, takes all these moves personally. He has a
he always
strong
said,
feeling about.
Pat always said this would be the toughest thing he'd ever have to do, is to tell Willie Upshaw that he's finished as a Blue Jay. Great friends.
I think he really hates to do it to anyone.
Yeah.
He has a lot of respect for his players.
I tell you what, it's a lot easier to do to somebody you don't like.
I don't know if there are an awful lot of guys that Pat dislikes. When they told me, Ferg, I had to calm him down and pat him on his head.
That's right.
Take it easy, Pat. Take it easy. It was a great.
He got pretty emotional, didn't he?
Yeah. I said, hey, I've had a great time here.
Blue Jays added about 3 or 4 years onto your career, Buck, didn't they? Watch Camposano in right. He can't get to it. It's a home run for Gagne. The way Campy went after that one, I thought he might have a chance for it. It's tied up at 4.
Gagne shows you the power that he has from the shortstop. He takes this pitch to the opposite field. He actually inside-outside pitch. Campy has a beat on it and realizes he's going to run out of room as it just clears the fence in right center. So Greg Gagne comes on to tie things up here for the Twins in the bottom of the 7th.
Davidson, the center fielder, came in last inning for Kirby Puckett. So Sanchez has given up a pair of 2-run homers. One to Gaetti in the 6th, and now Gagne here in the 7th.
Just overthrowing that ball a little bit. That curveball, he tried to overpower it, left it in a dangerous spot inside to this right-handed hitter, Davidson.
The Blue Jay fans sure have to be excited today about the performance of Todd Stottlemyre.
He went out there, pitched 5 strong innings, giving up only 4 hits and no runs to this #1 Twins team. Jimmy Williams, Al Widmar, the pitching coach.
He gave up 5 hits. Just correct that. So Sanchez is out of the inning, and we've got a tie ball game here in Orlando. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. It's tied at 4 as we go to the top of the 8th inning here at Tinker Field in Orlando. And leading it off will be the big first baseman, Freddie McGriff, who homered back in the first inning. Keith Atherton is now pitching for Minnesota. Atherton was 7-5 with a couple of saves for the Twins. Came on to be a setup man along with Berenguer for Reardon. Atherton is 1-2 in spring training. This is his 6th appearance.
Got a good fastball. He is a good setup man. He comes in there knowing that he's got the backup of Jeff Reardon down in the pen. Tried to make him a short man in Oakland. He just never really got on track, but he's a valuable role player for the Twins now.
Lifetime Atherton. As you look at Jeff Reardon out there, I thought we might see him today. Tom Kelly wasn't sure whether he'd get him in, but he's warming up now, so we will get to see him. McGriff fouls that back out of play. But Atherton lifetime is 0-6 with a save against Toronto. There's the heir apparent. Freddie McGriff at the plate. McGriff has hit a home run, and he has struck out twice in this game.
Atherton has a good fastball. He threw that one right to McGriff's power, but Fred was a little behind it. There was a good example of what Cito Gaston is trying to get McGriff to do. Go down after that pitch. Don't try to lift everything. Just let your leverage and your power take over. You don't have to guide balls up in the air when you have the power of Fred McGriff, so he wants him really to swing down on that ball out there. Blew that fastball right by him. That high fastball skipped a little bit. McGriff has struck out 3 times now. Here's a good high fastball from Atherton. Good spot to McGriff, and he just pulled his head off a little bit. Watch his head now. It doesn't really stay on the ball. There, it just pulls off a bit. Just over swinging a tad.
Now Cecil Fielder steps in. Atherton looks like he's in mid-season form, doesn't he?
Well, he's got that good fastball. He's got a straight fastball, but it's hard enough where he can get by with it. He's always been bothered by not having a real good off-speed pitch. But you can see he's just coming right at you. He knows he's out there for only an inning or so. He's going to give it his all and then turn it over to Reardon.
You know, if we go into extra innings here, Buck, you might have to go down and pitch.
No way. I'm too comfortable up here. It's hot down there.
It is now 86 degrees here. Head down to Gagne, the shortstop. And they get Fielder 2 down. They'll bring up Ernie Witt.
Gagne, off-field home run, tied it up. 4-4. Hit that off Sanchez last inning. There are a lot of Canadians here. They chant Ernie from the stands in Tinker Field in Orlando.
Here it is. Here's my fastball, hit it.
No mystery to this solution pitching right here, is there? Watch Nieto, the catcher. Flips down a sign. Atherton says, okay, let's go to work. Took a little bit something off of that ball, turned it over, went away from Witt, but missed outside.
Here's the 1-1 pitch.
He tied him up that time with that fastball. Now you've seen fastballs to the two previous hitters. That'd be a good time for Atherton to go to that off-speed pitch. He's got Ernie Witt behind. There's a changeup sign. Now they flash a slider. Let's see if this is a breaking pitch. There it is. Beat off the
chopper in the infield. Gagne tries to short off it, but Witt beats it out.
There's no substitute for speed.
No,
Fergie.
there sure isn't.
Huh? Ernie Witt, smart hitting right here. He beats it into the ground. Gagne charges hard, but can't find the handle. Ernie Witt's on there with his second hit of the day. I got one of those one time.
I tell you what, Lombardozzi would have thrown you out at that play. Kelly Gruber, the hitter. He's jammed, but it could fall in for a base hit. Gagne, oh, what a catch!
You got to love that effort in a spring training game. Gagne has just tied up the game with a 2-run homer, and then Gruber lost this little pop-up behind short. Davidson has no chance coming from center field. Watch how he extends fully out, jumps, great concentration, holds onto the glove, and then turns around to show the umpire. What a great play by the shortstop.
We're tied at 4. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. The Minnesota Twins will be coming to Toronto for a 3-game series starting Friday, April the 15th. Saturday, we'll have special reduced prices for senior citizens and junior Jays. Sunday, it'll be Blue Jay Bonus Day. Free $15 gift certificate for all fans can be used to purchase a field-level chair for a future game, or $15 in ticket purchases. Limit 1 per person. Plenty of reserved seats and general admission tickets available for all 3 dates against the world champion Minnesota Twins. Nieto, Gaetti, and Lowry will face the left-hander Bob Shirley.
Bob Shirley signed a minor league contract February 19th this year. Al Widmar lives in Tulsa, as does Bob Shirley, and they got together and worked a little bit this winter, and Widmar regained that sinker ball that Shirley had lost. There's his record in the spring with a win. He's yet to give up an earned run, but Shirley has really done a job. He kind of shrugs his shoulders and says, hey, I'm just throwing it over the plate, letting the hitters get themselves out.
Well, he's throwing a lot of ground ball outs. He's been throwing strikes. Naturally, that's important. Didn't he used to be a fly ball pitcher?
Not really. He was just kind of one of those guys that turn it over a little bit and the ball would sink, and he always threw a lot of strikes, never walked anybody, never got himself into trouble. He's not overpowering. He's the kind of guy you call comfortable. He goes out there and he doesn't really intimidate you, doesn't overpower you, but just gets you out. You go back after your 4th at bat and say, I'm going to get a hit next time. He'll be 0 for 4.
Blue Jays have made a couple of changes. Kelly Gruber is now playing third. Yelding is in to play second. Cecil Fielder is over at first base. There's Yelding there, the second baseman. He's seen a lot of action in spring training, hasn't he?
They both have. Kelly and Yelding both. They've got the opportunity to play because Fernandez was coming off that elbow injury. Manny Lee battling a shoulder problem.
I'm just noticing in the numbers, Yelding has had 47 official trips to the plate, and only one player in spring training has had more, and that's Ducey with about 53. That's it to Camposano in right field for the first out. Al Newman steps in for his first plate appearance.
Good little utility player, right-handed hitter. His stats last year, no home runs, 29 RBIs.
bunt that was, right down the line, and Kelly Gruber tried to one-hand it.
It's easy to say from up here, but I think that ball had gone foul. Gruber tried to make the play right on the edge of the grass, but it was headed towards the dirt area. I think it might have eventually rolled foul. Really deadened the ball nicely. Newman with good speed drops it down there, and Gruber decides to make a try for it. He knows it'll be a close play, tries to barehand it, but just can't come up with a handle. Watch here as it will just go down the line in the grass. Looks like it might be headed foul as it's bending towards that dirt area, but Gruber felt it was going to stay fair. And Al Newman's on with a hit.
Even in spring training, though, Buck, it's a nice play to try to make. Gruber's going to have to make a play like that during the season.
Nothing wrong with that. Newman stole 15 bases last year. Witt threw out Gladden in the third, the only stolen base attempt.
You remember that when those catchers make a good play.
Boy, I love it. Those little speedy guys get on there, and the catchers can fire them out. You know, we don't get an awful lot of opportunities to be stars. That's one of them. Blocking the plate. Doing an interview. Catchers, they're always good.
You blocked the plate once too often, didn't you?
Nah, I'd do it again tomorrow. When you don't hit home runs and you can't steal bases, you got to find out one thing and do it well. I enjoyed blocking the plate. It was fun.
Lowry hits that into left center. Leach has got to come away. He can't get to it.
Little blooper off the bat of Dwight Lowry, and Rick Leach giving him a lot of room, trying to protect against the extra base hit. Little jam shot. Kelly goes out. Rick Leach comes hard, but can't come up with it. Tries to go to second base for the force, but Al Newman beats that throw in there.
Bernansky, the hitter.
Now's when you're looking for the double play. Shirley, a veteran, knows he wants to turn that sinker ball over to Bernansky, try to get him to pull it on the ground to the left side, either to Gruber or Kelly, get him out of this situation. I don't think he wanted to throw it up there. He's looking for that ground ball. Bernansky likes the ball out over the plate, likes to extend his arms. Shirley's bread and butter pitch is the sinker ball. He's trying to come up with the ground ball.
He's fallen behind in the count. 2 balls and no strikes to Bernansky. That pitch appeared to be a little inside low, didn't it? Good spot.
Tied him up a bit. He couldn't extend out over there, but Shirley's the type of pitcher that, although he's behind, he can take just a little bit off of his fastball and turn it over. And the hitters really can't put the good part of the bat on the ball. Battled his way back to even the count at 2-2.
You know, you look down his stats, he sure had a lot of losing seasons, didn't he, in the bigs?
Yeah, but look at those teams he was playing with early on.
Total, 67 wins, 94 losses, 18 saves.
Everybody's always looking for left-handers. He was part of one of Whitey Herzog's big first moves over there in St. Louis when he, with fingers and tennis, went from San Diego to St. Louis. Whitey was named general manager. back in '80, and boy, he went to wheeling and dealing. He acquired Suter from the Cubs and acquired Fingers from the Padres. Of course, he eventually shipped Fingers off to Milwaukee.
Two balls and two strikes to Tom Bernansky. One down, bottom of the 8th inning, score tied at 4. Nice save by Ernie Witt.
Breaking ball in the dirt. Witt kept in front of him. Kelly will probably start the runners. He's got Newman at second with good speed. Lowry at first base doesn't have good speed, but fielders playing way behind him. He can get a big lead off the bag, try to stay out of that inning-ending double play should Bernansky hit one on the ground. Infield is deep, straight away.
There go the runners. High fly ball to center field. Now Leach comes over, the left fielder. He'll make the catch, and the runners will head back. 2 down.
Bob Shirley did a good job after falling behind Bernansky. 2 balls and no strikes. He battled back and got Bernansky to loft a lazy fly ball to left field.
Lombardozzi. Don't forget, we'll be on the air again Wednesday from Dunedin. The Blue Jays and the Detroit Tigers. Our final telecast, as far as the Blue Jays are concerned, for spring training. And our first telecast of the season on TSN will be in Minnesota against these Twins.
That'll be exciting. The first time the Twins fans will get to see their team since they won that World Championship. Opening day.
That's right. The Twins open up in New York, don't they?
That's right. It'll be exciting. There's Jim Wiesner, Dan Bladden, Dick Martin, the trainer, sitting in the sun. He had to go to work this morning. Gene Larkin got hit on the foot.
Lombardozzi down to Gruber. The fielder, and the Jays are out of the inning. So we head to the 9th inning. We're tied at 4 here at Tinker Field in Orlando. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on TSN. Tied at 4, the Twins and the Blue Jays. Both teams with 9 hits. We're in the 9th inning. And the man that took the Minnesota Twins to the World Series last year, Jeff Reardon, is on the mound.
Jeff, you were basically the last link to the puzzle when the Twins acquired you last February, and it had to be a thrilling season for you to come over here with the Twins.
Oh, yeah, it was. I couldn't ask for, anything more in 1 year. Coming over from Montreal, I thought we were getting close, and going to the Twins, a 6th-place team at the time, and to end up being world champs is pretty damn exciting.
Well, I guess it was. And he's the man that made it happen. There's his record with 31 saves.
Like he said, Montreal was getting close, and he didn't really expect an awful lot from the Twins. But boy, the dream season, he got to come over there.
Well, the Twins won 85 games last year, and Reardon had a hand, either a win or a save, in 39 of the 85 victories. That's getting the job done. He's jammed and pops it up to the infield to Gagne, the shortstop. 1 down.
Reardon says he has a tough time pitching in these games in spring training, naturally because so much of a relief pitcher's concentration is geared towards those tight situations in regular season games, and they just don't happen down here. This tie game right here is probably a good situation for Reardon to work late in the spring. It's 4-4. He knows that it's a tie game. Although it's a spring training game, he can still get into it mentally a little bit better than he might if it was one-sided.
Ducey lays down a bunt, and Reardon bobbles. No play at first, and Ducey is safe.
Ducey bunted that one right back to the mound.
Yep.
And kind of surprised Reardon and just jumped over his glove. Should have been an easy play, and he knows it as it just gets by his glove. Ducey bunts it awfully hard. Should have been an easy play as Reardon just breaks off the mound, puts his glove down, and it jumps right over the top of it.
And he'll be charged with an error.
Pitchers work on this all spring long, getting off the mound, fielding, and you can see it just took a little hop right over his glove.
With Nieto catching, Ducey at first. Chances are Ducey will try and steal a base in this situation.
Reardon's quick to first. Nieto's got a